When I was taught Shikantaza about 50 years ago, they spent a lot of time in the Soto Zen tradition focusing on posture, how to hold your body, the ways to do. In fact, we all wore robes, so how your robes had to be, and all these physical things, and absolutely nothing about the interior state or the interior practice. And I went around to some of the senior monastics when we could speak and asked them, well, what are you doing in the meditation? And I got every answer conceivable. So pretty early on, I realized nobody knew what they were doing. They were all just fumbling around in there, trying to figure out what to do. So when I began teaching Shikantaza, because I believe Shikantaza has a direct relationship to Anapanasati, or breath awareness practice, and I know that practice well, I could discern that there were some stages that were happening in both practices. And it turned out in the Chan tradition, they recognized those three stages as well. So it's helpful to orient as we are, to contact the chakras, then to turn in to see if there's body-mind unity or not. It's not a right or wrong answer, it's just what's here. And if there is a separation, most people it's around the neck, not everyone, but a high percentage of folks. So if you're feeling that this is mind, this is body, and this is a separation, then you hold all of those as one and just maintain equal awareness. And eventually, because the separation is entirely conceptual, it will begin to dissolve. It can't hold up. And then body, mind, which are already in a unity, you'll begin to perceive that unity. And for a lot of folks, there's a flow to it. So you don't have to have the flow, but the quality of unity should be present. When that is present, that becomes the interior. So that's our inner atmosphere, and we're bringing awareness. We're just bringing awareness right outside the body. For most people perceive their consciousness as being an egg shape, an orb shape around their body, about a half a meter or 18 inches from the body. And so that's why when we do some of these things like the universal chakra, we're contacting a half a meter from the body, we're getting to the edge of the consciousness. So we're getting to where consciousness and the absolute meet in a more formal way. And so once we're with that inner and outer atmosphere, we're just holding awareness on both. Are these the same or different? Is there the felt sense? Is the tone the same or different? As you recognize the sameness in them, the body boundary, which is the skin, our perception of that, our concept of that will begin to break down. You'll feel like my head's gone. I don't know where my left arm is, or my leg feels like it's over here against the wall and my left leg over there on the other side. So we get this body, the body begins to shift into different places, different ways of perceiving. When enough of the body is gone, then that's the contact with the vastness. Because there's then no inner or outer, there's just our awarenesses meeting the absolute, the vast and the void of the absolute. And we use awareness to stretch into the absolute with the intention to make contact with any boundaries or borders or limits we find. And typically we don't find any. That's part of why we do it, is we're beginning to experience for ourselves, this is vast. There is no edge to it. There's no limit. And so by searching, it starts landing in us in a visceral sense. This is the reality of where we are. The absolute, as I present it, has two main functions, the unmanifest and the manifest. The unmanifest has at its source cessation. And cessation is an experience. It's the deepest quality of peace, stillness, and emptiness or absence that exists. So it's like the calm in the middle of the storm, the calm in the hurricane or tornado. I don't remember if both have centers, but the centers are calm, they're still. And that's how the absolute is. But the stillness and the peace and the emptiness the absence are so rich, they're so alive that they they absorb anything that comes near them. So we can, in meditation, get close enough to feel the cessation. We can feel the pull of it. It feels like a tractor beam. And if we're ready and if we're ready to consent, then cessation can arise. So the awareness and consciousness, which is what journeys into the absolute, they shut off. Consciousness first, so any kind of self-reflection stops, but there's pure awareness. So awareness, we can't discern what this is except by touch, except by direct contact. We don't have concepts to meet our experience. And then awareness shuts off, and that begins cessation. The closest we have to an experience of cessation is dreamless sleep. If there's any kind of dreaming, if there's any kind of visual phenomenon in your experience, it's not cessation. There is nothing in cessation. We only know it was cessation afterwards. When we awaken from cessation, there's an aliveness that happens in our experience that's really unmistakable. I call it awakeness, which is the focus of my next book, which is going to my editors this week or next. So maybe next year it'll come out. But that's the quality, that's the experience, is there's an awakeness that happens with contact with cessation, experience of cessation. The manifest function of the absolute is really a brightness. The unmanifest I didn't mention is characterized by darkness. And it's not actually a black. It's actually every color is eliminated. So it's this kind of black-gray color, but it's the absence of all color. And the manifest is the opposite. It's all color. So it presents as this brilliant brightness. We could say white, but it's not actually a color either. It's just every color emanating into this brightness. And with the manifest absolute is also the great love of metta, this unborn, uncreated love, unconditioned love that's always present and always in ready supply. And then presence, the here-ness, the now-ness, the crispness of the absolute can be experienced there. And together, this combination of the unmanifest, manifest is what creates life. The power comes from cessation through the unmanifest, the peace, stillness, and absence into presence and love, and pure awareness is part of the manifest as well. And that's what gives that plant that awakeness, that aliveness to come through the soil into the sun.